We have all been programmed to believe that there is no land at the North Pole. Just a bunch of ice sheets, nothing to see here. What if I told you that this is far from the truth? Not only is the North Pole home to the most exceedingly high mountain in the world, Mount Zion, the mountain of God, which is spoken about all throughout the Bible, it is also home to paradise, the Garden of Eden, which is still here to this day. Now prepare for a big awakening. This is one of the first ever maps created of the North Pole in the 1500s. I want you to focus on the middle here. You have a mountain with a river coming out of it, and then you have 4 rivers coming out of that river in the middle. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. So you have the river flowing out of Eden, which is directly under Mount Zion, and then you have the 4 rivers parting from that one big river. A lot of people think that God took the Garden of Eden to heaven. But why would he be guarding it with cherubims and a flaming sword if it was in heaven? Now back to the map, that mountain in the middle, it is called the Rupus Nigra. It's straight from Wikipedia. Rupus Nigra means black rock. The Rupus Nigra is a black rock magnetic mountain located at the North Pole. Funny how the biggest investment company in the world is BlackRock. They know the truth. Not to mention Rupus Nigra is 33 French miles wide. Remember who loves the number 33? The Freemasons. So soon after this map came out, the map started looking like this. Unknown region, what is that? Here's your NASA satellite footage, just a couple of big black holes in the center. Oh, nothing to see here.
Series, what? Patented December 14th, 1909. Here's how big that sucker is. What? What is going on here? Scott, may you have many pleasurable moments with this book. Love to you always, Barbara. Aw. What? 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 Aw, you handsome man. Based on the International Dictionary of 1890 and 1900, now completely revised in all departments. But y'all know where I'm going with this, right? So we be looking for page 820, and I'm going to make a series out of this, guys. You can drop in the comments, like, what words you want me to look up. And, you know, I cried a little bit reading this. I'll try to hold it together this time. But check this out. Firmament. To make firm. Firm. The vault or arch of the sky, the heavens. The word came into English as a translation of the Latin firmamentum of the Vulgate, meaning literally a support, prop, strengthening, corresponding to the Greek of the Septuagint, meaning something solid, foundation, both being used to render the Hebrew word which denotes an expanse and was in Scripture applied to the great arch or expanse over our heads in which the clouds and stars appear. What? And it keeps going, by the way. You can pause and read that.
There's no ice on it. And guess what? Antarctica hadn't been discovered yet. Antarctica was discovered in 1820. And if you look, well, look, there's an alligator, there's a camel, warm weather animals. So, you want to explain to me, first thing, what the hell is this, all this land? And second thing, what froze them? What happened between 1587 and 1892 where those areas got frozen?
Ooh, we might have done it again. We may have solved a biblical mystery. And whether you're religious or not, this affects you too. Right there on page 1 of the Bible, God created a firmament above the earth to separate the waters from the waters. And he called the firmament heaven. So if there's an impenetrable dome above us, space travel is virtually impossible. Many believe that NASA was formed as a diversion to keep people from nosing around from Admiral Byrd's discovery down by the South Pole. Admiral Byrd discovered land, lots of land, undiscovered land, down by Antarctica. But sadly, after his television interview explaining this, Byrd passed away. A year later, NASA was formed. A year after that, the Antarctic Treaty was signed by all 12 countries. making exploration impossible. Well, that seems suspicious. Many believe that Antarctica is actually an ice wall, a total circumference around all of our continent, keeping waters of the oceans in place. There are multiple maps just like this that depict a potential truth of what our world really is. There we are in the middle. Just beyond our ice wall lie other continents and another ice wall surrounding them. Beyond their ice wall, more continent and another circular ice wall. There are also maps like this one, showing multiple continents with ice walls around it that cover the surface of Earth, with one large ice wall at the end of it. There is not one single reference in the Bible that the Earth is round, but there are references to things such as, "And I placed the Earth on its foundation." You can't really put a foundation on a sphere. The four corners of Earth are mentioned multiple times. I don't care how many times I spin a tennis ball, I cannot find four corners on it. But when I say I discovered something in Book of Enoch that just might clear all of this up and answer our questions right now. Chapter 27, God said to Enoch, as he was explaining and describing how he created the earth, "And I commanded that there should be taken from light and darkness, and I said, be thick. And it became thus, and I spread it out with the light, and it became water. And I spread it out over the darkness, below the light. And then I made firm the waters, that is to say, the bottomless, and I made foundation of light around the water, and created 7 circles from inside." And imagined the water like crystal, wet and dry, that is to say, like glass. Well, I don't know about you, but that's a really good way to describe ice. Wet and dry water, like glass. Chapter 28. "And then I made firm the heavenly circle. I collected the sea in one place and bound it together with a yoke. And I said to the sea, behold, I give you your eternal limits, and you shall not break loose from your component part." He clearly told Enoch he made 7 circles of ice to keep the waters of earth within. And I think now we have our answer.
Have you heard the theory of the Titanic and the Federal Reserve? Well, here it goes. So on the Titanic, there's some extremely wealthy passengers like J.P. Morgan, John Rockefeller, and the Rothschilds. But then you have Jacob Astor, the wealthiest man in the world at the time. He owned about 40% of all mortgages, and he was a Freemason who was very opposed to the idea of a central bank. Whereas J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, and Rothschild strongly supported the idea of a central bank. So Jacob Astor was the only one standing in the way of a central bank at the time. Coincidentally, the morning the Titanic was supposed to set sail, J.P. Morgan, some Rothschilds, and others quietly exited the ship without any explanation. 5 days later, Titanic slams into an iceberg and it starts to sink. And even though Jacob Astor is the wealthiest man in the world, he still can't find a seat in a lifeboat, and he ends up sinking with the ship. Shortly after, these guys become the wealthiest men in the world, and without Jacob Astor standing in their way, the next year in 1913, on Jekyll Island in Georgia, the Federal Reserve Act was signed into law, paving the way to print money out of thin air and completely control our monetary system. Was this a coincidence or a conspiracy?
It's moving at 55 miles an hour.
My guy. Now what we not finna do is play with God's word. Now if God said he laid the earth on its foundations and put a firmament over us, then that's exactly what he did. See, in the Bible, God told Isaiah the difference between a ball and a circle. God knew exactly what wordplay he was using in the Bible to describe the earth. In the Bible, God also speaks about the 4 corners of the earth. A ball does not have corners, but a flat surface do. Now, when I say 4 corners of the earth, this is what I mean. The same way that man made a compass, a circle compass, and put north, east, south, and west, I'm speaking of exactly that. God also says in the Bible that he set a compass upon the face of the earth. Now, remember when I said that God made the earth as a compass? Okay, so let's talk about it. Now, the compass only recognizes north. North always points towards the center. Hint, the North Pole. Any other direction is only based off the direction of north. How could a compass point south on a globe if they are saying that south is downwards? East and west are curved lines that constantly readjust to align with north. So y'all question is, how come when I'm flying in a plane, I end up in the same place I came from? Well, that only happens with east and west. So if you say that you circled the whole world and ended up in the same place, that's because you were going east and west. But let me tell you something. Traveling south is a whole different ballgame. See, because south is any direction leaving the center. See, because if you begin to head south, you will reach the Antarctica ice wall. So So traveling south, you will never end up back at the same place. See, because there's a reason they won't allow y'all to travel south and end up at the ice wall. Like, bruh, come on. Even the compass don't want you traveling south. That's why it always points back to north, telling you to turn around every time you start to travel south. See, because if you decide to keep going and get past that ice wall, you will realize there is in fact a firmament over us, keeping anyone from leaving this earth. We couldn't be living in a globe if we wanted to. See, water has to be contained. They say that the earth is 71% water, so that by itself would be impossible. And I know y'all probably be wondering, where do rainbows come from? Now, scientists will tell you they self, to make a rainbow, you need water, light, and a mirror. See, when God said he created the firmament, he spreaded it out like a molten looking glass. See, them big rainbows that you see is proof that we live underneath the firmament. It's the sunlight reflecting off of the firmament to remind us of his promise to never flood the earth again. See, God said he set the earth on its foundations so that it should never be moved. But scientists are saying that we are spinning and moving 1,040 miles per hour. And in 1927, we had no idea what the earth looked like, but created this picture. Now, all of a sudden, in 1997, they go see the earth and it looked exactly like that picture? No. Now, do y'all know who this man is? Probably not. But this is Richard E. Byrd. He was one of the first to discover Antarctica in 1928. See, he found evidence of the flat earth with the firmament over us. Even in his diaries and writings, he said it. See, he traveled all the way to the four corners of the earth. See, and when he found this discovery, what did our government do? They all went down to Antarctica 3 years later to claim a piece of it and to keep the truth hidden from us. That's why the Antarctica ice wall today is just like Area 51. Nobody could go there. Why is that? Are they hiding the truth? See, because that's what it seems like. Because that's what it is. See, and they just keep telling y'all all these lies and y'all just get brainwashed by it. They tell y'all they fly to the moon. See, because my question is, how you gonna fly to the moon when God said he made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night? Meaning that the moon and the sun ain't even solid objects. They're luminary. You can't just go up there and land on it. Like, come on, bro. Everybody know that landing was fake. The flag up there waving. You could see a shadow on the moon. Y'all talking about the stars is outer space. But in the videos and in the pictures, there's no stars in space. See, because y'all gonna have to do more than that to convince me. Because in Romans 3 and 4, God said, let Yah be the truth and every man a liar. But I know y'all gonna ask me, Anaya, how do sunsets work if the earth is flat? See, in Job 9 and 7, God says, who commands the sun and it does not rise? See, on y'all's globe earth, y'all believe that the sun is setting and rising, but in reality, it's all just about perspective. For example, have y'all ever heard of a vanishing point? See, because in reality, the sun and the moon are not setting and rising. They are rotating. See, because the farther that is getting away from us to rotate around the earth, it's seeming as if it's going down. And the closer that it's getting from making its way back around to us, it seems as if it's rising. It's all due to perspective from where we're at.
This appears due to perspective. And here's another example. The line is tied perfectly even across the counter, and the bottles are sitting level on the countertop. Now let's look at it from the counterpoint view.
Okay, so y'all like, yeah, nah, I mean, that sound good. But how do seasons work then? See, what I need y'all to know is that the sun and the moon are actually closer than what they are telling y'all. The sun and the moon are inside the firmament with us. See, electromagnetism actually perfectly explains how the sun and the moon rotates on Earth. See, the sun and the moon are not rock or gas. They're light sources. Now, these light sources are in the shape of a disc that rotate the Earth like a clock, but in a coil-like spiral, dictating the seasons and the climate as it goes. See, now when the sun is beyond the equator ring, the northern hemisphere experiences summer, and the southern hemisphere experiences winter. Inversely, when below the equator ring, the southern hemisphere will experience summer, and the northern hemisphere will experience winter. They got y'all thinking that there's life beyond the earth. There is no space. There is no other planets out there. God says he sits at the top of the firmament. Those planets that y'all are seeing in those telescopes, those are called wandering stars. All of these are light sources. They are not solid objects. Alright, Anais, so how does a solar eclipse work on a flat earth? And why can't we see stars during an eclipse of the sun and the moon? See, God says in eclipses the sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the coming of the great and glorious days of the Lord. As so, see, a solar eclipse happens when the sun and the moon decides to rotate over each other. As so. Okay, so why can't we see stars during a solar eclipse? See, God says immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. So why can't you see stars during a solar eclipse? His word tells you everything you need to know. There is nothing outside the firmament that they know of because they can't get past the firmament. God tells us he placed water above the firmament. All these people didn't have the same vision for no reason. There was many times that they have snitched on themselves, saying that they never been outside the earth, saying that there's nowhere to go, saying that they never been to the moon for real. They even be putting the truth into the cartoons. They are steady trying to break the firmament. They trying to nuke the firmament, sending rockets up there to break the firmament. They trying everything in their power. And as a matter of fact, my next video, I'm going to be showing y'all videos of them really saying they ain't never been to the moon. I'm going to be showing y'all videos of them trying to nuke the firmament, them trying to send rockets to the firmament, and even putting hidden truth into these cartoons and movies. These people know exactly what they are doing. And they know exactly what the firmament is. I'm telling y'all, that's exactly the reason why we can't go to the Antarctica ice wall. You can't fly over it. You can't do nothing. They don't want you seeing nothing, knowing nothing. Because they know once we find out that there is an end to this earth, that we gonna know the Bible is the true history of this world. And I want y'all to know that there is no other planets outside of this firmament. When God said he created the earth, I'm pretty sure he would have said I created Saturn, Mars, Neptune, and Venus. He calls those wandering stars. And I want to tell y'all so bad what stars are, but y'all can just see it in the next video because I don't have time to actually explain it right now because I only have 10 minutes on TikTok. But when I tell y'all the truth about stars, it's going to blow y'all mind. See, because what I want y'all to know is back in the day in them old Bibles, before all the wordings was getting changed into their own interpretation, in 2 Samuel 11:11, it said that the earth was flat. But that was before they started changing everything, so people wouldn't know the truth. And that's why God said those who took away from his word and added to his word will be greatly punished. So the whole point to this video is, let Yah be the truth, and every man.
And Brian, an Amazon driver who's black was dropping off a package at a home in Baltimore when he thought he overheard a racist remark coming through the doorbell speaker. He notified Amazon, and they shut down the home's Amazon Echo system, which controls electronic devices, including the lights. The homeowner got an email telling him to contact Amazon, who then scolded him about the racist remark, except the homeowner, who's also black, didn't make the remark. He wasn't even home at the time. Instead, it was the doorbell ring system saying to the driver, "Excuse me, can I help you?" The driver, wearing headphones, misunderstood. Amazon responded, quoting, "We work hard to provide customers with a great experience while ensuring drivers who deliver Amazon packages feel safe. In this case, we learned through our investigation that the customer did not act inappropriately." So Amazon shut down the home with zero evidence for something the homeowner allegedly said in the privacy of his home, even though he wasn't home. What if a driver hears a political statement that makes him feel unsafe? Is Amazon monitoring speech from outside people's homes? Is Alexa monitoring speech from inside?
We live inside of Satan's world. They say we live inside of a solar system. This is truth in plain sight. You're made out of body, mind and spirit, the Holy Trinity. This Holy Trinity is the sun, moon and earth. The sun being your soul, solar, the moon being your mind, and the earth being your physical body. The planets are actually light within the firmament, and each light is vibrating at a certain frequency which gives certain virtues to us and the earth. As you can see, Saturn is the only one that appears like a solid object, This is because Saturn is the god of materialism and crystallization into physical matter. The hexagon on the North Pole of Saturn creates a 6-pointed star if you add up all the corners, which is known as now as the Star of David. 6 points, 6 triangles, 6 sides, 666, which is the number of the beast, Satan. Satan is Saturn. As the soul descends, sol meaning sun, as the soul descends into the solar system, the 7 planets give it its 7 virtues and energies. That's why there's 7 days of the week, 7 chakras, 7 metals. 666 is the atomic structure of the element carbon, and we are known as carbon-based life forms. This is because Saturn crystallizes our physical bodies. Our body is the beast. As you descend into the solar system, you hit Saturn, which is the Lord of the Rings. This is why they say Satan blinds the mind and he's the god of this world, because as you descend into physical matter, you are blinded by matter and trapped in the 5 senses. Hence why the symbol for Saturn is the number 5. All of the planet symbols are made out of the 3 holy trinities, which is the sun, the moon and the earth. Notice how Saturn is the cross with the moon, which is the earth over the moon. Like I said at the beginning, the cross is the earth and the moon is your mind. So the Saturn symbol is telling you physical matter, the body, over the mind, when it should be mind over matter. This is why Satan blinds the mind, Saturn. And this is why you see 666 everywhere with the elite symbolism, because they worship the physical realm and they blind the mind. The link is in the bio for the Instagram, the CMOS and the YouTube.
Peace, God. I'm back with some more vital information. This does affect my real life, so I highly appreciate it if you guys send donations. I'm not really going to waste a lot of your time, so we're going to dive right into it. The walls surrounding Earth were built by the custodians in the past so that the humans would not have the opportunity to reach the inner domes, or the first dome. Since this discovery would expose the falsity of the theory that was preached without discussion, in addition to begin to question several fundamental points of life and the known lands. The possibility of an infinite Earth could never reach human minds, as this would open up the environment and awaken the thousands of living energies inside the human bodies that are numb to the knowledge of their past. Now remember, as I told you how to activate the junk DNA, how to activate your light body, you're going to be awakened to a lot more energies. The giants had to escape from the land since defeat was inevitable and their death was certain. The custodians would never forgive the giants for having taken up arms and delivered forbidden knowledge to the humans. Managing to escape where they had entered through the north and the south passages. Some humans followed and also achieved this longed-for escape from the custodial yoke. The ancient souls of Asgard, Lemuria, and Atlantis inhabited human bodies, started from scratch in the lands outside the first dome, known as the Ancestral Republic. Although hurt by a hard defeat, they had hoped to grow again and return with a new strategy, now with 2 different missions. 1, to liberate the humans, and 2, to finish with the custodians. Human beings began in these new lands to connect with the source, and they started to understand the past and its importance. I learned about how the human body works in grave detail as much as I could. The bacteria that lived in us was far more different than one created in the laboratory. There were so many bacteria and viruses that had been modified and created for different purposes by the custodians that it was difficult to count. In fact, it was known that their plan was still going on every year to continue creating new ones. And I'm going to let y'all tap in the comments which I think that is. The possibility of other lands and the real human past would be mentioned as much as possible. Sometimes it did not matter so much the name which our lands were known. The important thing was to know about the lands behind the ice walls, as long as it did not alter the day-to-day life, as it would raise great suspicion. Many people who carried out these missions were locked up in different institutions, so we were very careful in spreading the information. And as I stated, this started affecting my real life, so I be needing y'all help, but I'm still here. Peace, God.
Look at that. Looks like the end of the world. What is that?
objeto no identificado.
You're going to want to see this. Stretching off into the horizon, we have one of the largest tabular icebergs currently on our planet. It just keeps going. Something this big is kind of hard to comprehend even when it's right in front of you, but this speaks to how much fresh, frozen water is down in the Southern Ocean. For anyone wanting some perspective, take a look at the birds that are flying next to this thing. It's probably about 200 feet high, and that's just about 15% of what's sticking out of the water. The rest is down below, like an ice wall, drifting through the ocean, currently heading east toward the South Orkney Islands. Kind of wouldn't believe it if